All right, welcome everybody to the Lakers Legacy Podcast, where as we turn the page over to a new year, the Lakers decided to just turn the ball over and over again. And instead of giving him a standard birthday cake, it seems like the Lakers just decided to give LeBron James a cranberry turnover for his 41st birthday. Why cranberries? I'm not sure why, but I'm guessing older people like cranberries. Anyways, happy birthday, LeBron James. I would have preferred Tres Leches, but here we are. Anyways, I'm your host, Jonathan Hernandez, and it was a dreary December to remember for your Los Angeles Lakers. After going 11-2 in the month of November, closing out Thanksgiving on a 7-game winning streak, the Lakers have since gone 5-7 in December and have lost their last 4 out of 5 games. In those 7 losses this month, the Lakers have lost by 17 points, 21 points, 13 points, 15 points, 24, 23, and 22 points. That's 4 20-point blowout losses, all double-digit losses. So when the Lakers lose, they have been losing in real style with some real pizzazz, unfortunately for all of us who have to watch it and end up gouging our eyes out afterwards. So all in all, it was a complete December doomsday for the Lakers. And frankly, 2026 couldn't come soon enough. Now, I actually just found this stat out, but believe it or not, the Lakers' 5-7 record in December is the worst record they've ever had in the LeBron James era, dating all the way back to 2017. The Lakers have never won this little in December since LeBron James has been a Laker. So it's been like 8 years. Apart from that random pandemic season when we started the NBA year at the end of December, every other December, this one is the worst since LeBron James has been a Laker. So just think about that for a second. 5-7 is the worst record in the LeBron James era. The next being 6-8 back in 2021 or something like that. But anyways, yeah, I just checked the stats. The Lakers are having their worst December since LeBron James became a Laker. And yeah, so the Lakers are now 20-11 on the season, and they are currently 5th in the West behind the Houston Rockets and right above the 21-12 Minnesota Timberwolves. They are 12-5 on the road, which is very impressive considering they were 19-21 last year. But this season, they are 8-6 at Crypto.com Arena, which absolutely sucks for all of us here living in Los Angeles. As if living in Los Angeles wasn't expensive enough, we now have to pay to watch the Lakers get blown out these days. Honestly, every Laker game at this point should be free taco night or free BBGO night, and they should be handing people free coupons for food after these disgusting Lakers losses. The Lakers are also the only Western Conference playoff team currently, and I think the only playoff team in general, with a negative net rating of negative 0.6. The next worst Western Conference playoff team is the Suns, and they have a plus 1.7 net rating. So they nearly have they have a plus 1.1 net over the Lakers. So again, just think about that. It has been an excruciating December for the Lakers. So here's how the show is going to go. I'm going to do a quick Lakers temperature check on last night's loss to the Detroit Pistons and the team's recent play in general. Then I'll get into some Austin Reaves stopgap replacements. I have about 8 replacements from premier guys that I'm thinking about, top 5 premier guys, and then 3 more realistic players to think about when it comes to Austin Reaves' short-term understudies. Because I do think, especially after watching last night's game, I do think this team needs a different type of scoring that Austin provides. Because as we've seen with Luke and LeBron, especially when they encounter these physical juggernaut defensive teams, the Lakers offense is pretty predictable. Our pacing is pretty predictable. And we just need that extra release valve who can actually create something out of nothing and put the defense on its heels. So that's why I'm thinking about Austin replacements. And so that's what we're going to get into in the back half of this show. So before I get to that, though, if I could please have you guys like this video, comment down below, and most importantly, please hit subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube right now. Also, mash that hype button. Let's take 5 seconds, everybody. Those of you who are watching, 5 seconds to just click the like button. It's very free. Ready? Here we go. Did you hit the like button? If you did, thank you so much. Did you hit subscribe? You should do that as well. Yeah, please do me a favor and do all of those things. It helps me out a lot. It helps out the engagement of this video. Also, if you would like to help me out in any small way financially, please consider doing so via the links in the description box below. Patreon, Venmo, buy me a coffee. These days, the best way to support me is by becoming a Lakers Legacy podcast member. Become a member to the YouTube channel where you guys will get exclusive bi-weekly videos and other perks such as exclusive chats, video requests. Maybe you can commission me to make a player breakdown video of your choice, etc., etc. Yeah, please do that. It helps me out a lot. And again, if you can't help me out financially, totally fine. Just hit like, just hit subscribe, just comment down below. All right. So without house cleaning out of the way, let's really quickly talk about I know we don't want to talk about it, but let's really quickly talk about the Pistons game from last night. And let me bring up this, and I'm going to hide the comments for a hot second. All right, let's just run this down. So the Lakers lost 128-106. And even though they tied the game up 79-79 in the third, and they had a pretty spirited third quarter, it looked like they were ready to meet the Pistons head on. All of that is great. You could tell in the first half the way this game was going. And the Pistons just seemed like they had the Lakers at arm's length the entire game. And it felt like they knew they could hit the afterburners whenever they wanted. And then on the Lakers end, it just seemed like everything they were trying to do was so arduous and hard. And then the biggest thing for me, I think the biggest macro point of note that I want to bring to the table here is the fact that without Austin Reaves and Rui Hachimura, this was the Lakers' best defensive look. I mean, I guess it's not the best if you want to talk about like, oh, well, they could have put Adu Thiero in. They could have put Chris Magnon in. But in terms of the main rotation guys, this was the Lakers' best defensive look with Jake LaRavia and Marcus Smart in the starting lineup. Jared Vanderbilt squarely entrenched in the rotation. And yet, the Lakers gave up 70 points in the first half to the Detroit Pistons. And what worried me the most about last night's game was, on the other end of the floor, the Lakers couldn't score. So if you're asking me, do we need more defense or do we need more offense? Last night, I would have preferred the offensive look because at least we could have punched back. And I know that a large part of the Lakers' issues stemmed from them continually turning the ball over and giving easy buckets to the Pistons because nearly every turnover was a pick six because of how fast and athletic the Pistons are and how slow and loafing our guys are. But a lot of that is due to us not having the offensive arsenal to be able to counteract the Pistons' tough physical defense. You know, we didn't have another third guy who could break the defense down, knife into the paint, relieve Luka as he was getting doubled. Even when Luka would pass it out to like wide open guys, dudes were missing open shots. And so last night I was kind of like, hey, our defense isn't doing much defending anyways. I would rather just have our offense out there. Like we missed Rui Hachimura spacing it out to the 3-point line and knocking down those corner shots. We missed Austin Reaves putting pressure on the defense, attacking downhill, getting to the stripe. You know, it's like LeBron and Luka kind of got pushed around last night, and so did the rest of the team. And I think the worst parts and qualities of every single Laker almost came out last night against the Pistons, and that is usually the case against these more physical, faster, more athletic teams. And at this point, you can almost pen in when the Lakers are going to lose and how much they're going to lose by. Again, in December, they have lost each one of their 7 games, all by double digits, 4 20-point losses. And when the Lakers lose, they are getting overwhelmed physically by these power explosive teams. And it's just kind of sad to see because the Lakers can't fight back. They have the size, but they can't push back. And they also can't shoot. You know, they can't score. So it's like we are almost like the middling worst of all worlds right now. And so, you know, diving into the stats, we got out rebounded 37-33. We got out assisted 30-28. Steals 12-10. 20 turnovers. I mean, granted, we turned the Pistons over 18 times, which is good, but I actually want to see the the points off turnovers. So fast break points, the Pistons outscored us 31-12. And that kind of tells you the tale of the night. We got outscored by 19 points in the fast break. As if you needed any more indication that this Pistons team was shoving it down our throats. Pause. The points in the paint differential was insane. The Pistons scored 74 points in the paint to the Lakers 44 points. Obviously, fast break points factors into that, but we just had no deterrence at the rim. We just had no, I mean, it was bad on all ends of the spectrum. Second chance points, the Lakers actually outscored the Pistons 15-6. So good on the Lakers. A lot of that was due to Jake LaRavia and Jared Vanderbilt scrapping around the floor. I don't know what we would have done if they weren't actually playing. And then the Lakers 3-point shooting, 28% to the Pistons 45%. We just had no relief anywhere in this game. And it was a complete tire fire. And by the end of it, the fourth quarter, we just completely imploded. Again, we were 79-79 in the third quarter. And by the end of the game, 128-106. And actually, I feel like that number looks even better because Dalton Knecht came in and scored like 10 points in 4 minutes. Because for a large part of that fourth quarter, we were completely inept and stifled by the Pistons. And yeah, honestly, kind of looked pathetic. So that was the game. Let's quickly look at some overall macro stats. And let me bring up. Okay, so let's quickly take a look at these stats. This is where the Lakers rank currently in the league, and I highlighted some specific stats of note. Currently, the Lakers are 27th in the NBA in rebounding. They only average 40.9 rebounds. I mean, come on, guys. It's weird because you have rebounders. Well, I guess DeAndre Ayton is the only real, like, that's not true. It's weird because you have rebounders like DeAndre Ayton, Luka Doncic, and LeBron James, and yet the Lakers are so low on the rung when it comes to rebounding. I guess because in the aggregate, not everybody else is doing their job in terms of crashing the glass. Although I think Jake LaRavia has been doing a great job in his limited minutes. The other stat of note is the Lakers are 25th in the league in assists. Only averaging 24.8 assists. And the crazy thing about that is, like, you have Luka Doncic and LeBron James and Austin Reaves. And yes, not all three have been on the floor at the same time for too many games, but it's crazy that you are in the bottom 5th of the NBA in assists. To me, that's telling me that our offense isn't very healthy. the ball's not moving around as much because only 3 guys are generating all of the assists. At least that's how I'm extrapolating out that stat. The other thing I want to note is the Lakers are 25th in the league in three-point percentage. We're also not good in terms of volume, 25th in terms of three-pointers made, 23rd in terms of 3 points attempted. We're not even getting up these shots. And we're not hitting them at a decent rate. And I think a lot of that, as WC6465 points out, more ball movement is key. And yeah, we obviously missed Rui Hachimura last night. The other thing that I want to point out, if you look at the opponent rank column, the Lakers are giving up the second most rebounds to opponents in the NBA. So not only are we not rebounding, but we are giving our opponents the most rebounds, or we are second in giving up rebounds to our opponents. Well, I don't know how to, say that, but that's essentially how it shakes out. And so, I think that's all I want to talk about with regards to this, because I'm not even sure if I'm dissecting this correctly. I should have spent a little bit more time on this. Let's look at another column. And in this section, I want to point out the rebounding as well. In terms of offensive rebounding and defensive rebounding, the Lakers are 25th in offensive rebounding, only averaging 10.1 a game, and they are 26th in defensive rebounding. So this is breaking down the rebounding stats a little bit more. And so it makes sense that we are bad rebounding in every respect. The other thing I want to point out is the Lakers are 22nd in the league in turnovers, but then when it comes to their opponent rank, their opponents are 10th in the NBA whenever they're playing the Lakers when it comes to taking care of the ball. So essentially what that means is the Lakers aren't turning the other team over as much as they are turning the ball over. And so that typically is a recipe for disaster, as we saw last night. Even though we did turn the Pistons over 18 times, we did not capitalize on those 18 turnovers the way that the Pistons capitalize on our 20 turnovers, because again, they outscored us like 37 points in the fast break. I think 37-12 was the stat. So that is where we will leave the Lakers' disgusting run of play in December. And again, I'm going to say it again. The Lakers 5-7 December is the worst December record-wise and win-wise that the Lakers have ever had in the LeBron James era. Next worst was 6-8 back in 2021. So keep that in mind. This is like a historically bad December, not only because of the record, but the way that the Lakers are losing. It's an embarrassment every single time out. We got some reprieve from that Sacramento Kings game, but the 4 out of 5 losses, it's like 20-point blowouts. It's ridiculous. Okay, so that is where I want to end the Lakers talk, to be honest with you. Now I want to talk about Austin Reaves' replacement. So before I get into my Austin Reaves replacements, I just want to caveat everything I'm about to say first, because when I talk about Austin Reaves replacements, I actually want to talk about offensive creators, guys who can do the things that Austin does on ball. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, no, the Lakers need defense all the time. Yes, they need defense, but they actually also need offense if you watch last night's game. And defense can only do so much when you have one-dimensional defensive players, as the Lakers do last night, because Jake LaRavia, good defender. Jared Vanderbilt, good defender. Marcus Smart, good but erratic defender. These guys couldn't hit a shot and couldn't create a shot to save their lives. So what can you do with those types of defenders? We can stack up as many types of those players as we want. If we can't score on the other end of the floor, you get wacky results like last night where we can keep it close for like much of the game, and then all of a sudden the floodgates burst open and we just get blown out. So when I'm talking about Austin replacements, I'm not talking about let's find the best 3-and-D guy. No, I'm talking about a guy who can actually do something with the ball. If they can play defense, that's great. And you will see some of that reflected in my rankings, because there are some guys who can do a little bit of both, but mainly these are going to be guys who can actually primary create and create for others so that Luka Doncic and LeBron James have a release valve. And I think too often we view basketball and basketball players in this very like black and white sense where like we talk about a player and we immediately go, oh, he just plays offense, no defense, or he just plays defense, he doesn't play offense. He's a all offense, no defense player. He's just a defensive guy who can't shoot 3-point shots. We view things in this very black and white way, but in my opinion, not all 20-point scorers, not all 20-point offensive players are created equal. I want to know if Austin Reaves scores 28 points and then this other player scores 28 points, how do they score those points? What kind of 20-point scorer are you? Because I think that's very important. And I think you need different types of 20-point scorers because as we've seen, Luka's 30 points is very different than LeBron's, is very different than Austin's 30 points. And against good defensive teams, you can't only have one or two guys doing what they do without another creative release valve to help them out. That's how you become predictable, like the Lakers. And then on top of it, Luka and LeBron both kind of play sort of old, at least in the half court. And they're not really punch you in the face explosive athletes. At least LeBron isn't anymore. LeBron can still do it in open space in transition, but in half court sets, he's not barreling down the lane and getting and ones or dunking over people. And in fact, he's whiffing more layups than he ever has. And then Luka Doncic, if he's getting doubled at the top of the key or taking ill-advised step backs or turning the ball over, because he doesn't have that outlet, I mean, that's how it can get pick six disastrous the way that it was for the Lakers against the Pistons. So on top of like having another offensive creator like Austin Reaves, we obviously need that player to hopefully be athletic and explosive, or at the very least be speedy like Austin. So we need on-ball creation. We need someone who's quick and preferably can get to the rim. That's how I'm going to frame this like Austin Reaves replacement section. And again, obviously we need defense. I am not downplaying that. But after what we saw last night with our offense being so stifled and stalled out because no one besides LeBron or Luka could do anything with the ball, I don't know if getting two more Vandos or Marcus Smarts or upgraded versions of those players is going to help. We need some guys who can hit some shots and can actually put pressure on the defense. What we need is we need what Nick Smith Jr. can provide us, but on a way more consistent and reliable basis. And we need someone who isn't as raw and inexperienced and as erratic as Nick Smith Jr. Like, you can be erratic actually, but you have to be professionally erratic in a Jordan Clarkson type of way. Not saying Jordan Clarkson is one of my guys, but I'm talking about prime Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench, dropping 20 on pretty efficient numbers. Like, you can be erratic like that as long as you have the production to back it up, because last night Nick Smith Jr. was erratic but had no production to back it up and was turning the ball over and looking pretty lost. So that's the type of player I'm talking about when I'm saying an Austin Reaves stopgap replacement, a real offensive engine who can create something out of nothing. Yeah, so some of these guys can also play defense, which is why they rank higher on my list. If they can't play defense, there are deal packages around these players that we can like add defenders onto them. So that's sort of like my thinking when it comes to this list. Okay. Let me get into this list. Sorry, guys, just getting my stuff sorted. All right, so let's start with my top 5 premier Austin Reaves stopgap replacement targets. I will start from number 5 all the way down to my number 1 target. And then I will round the show out with 3 more realistic targets. So we're going to go with number 6 first, make our way down, and that's how we're going to do it. You guys ready? All right, let's do this. While you wait for me to do this, comment down below, click like, make sure you're subscribed. If you've made it this far into the show and you're not subscribed, what are you doing, fam? All right, let's get started. Number 5 on my top Austin Reaves stopgap replacements. Let's talk about Cam Thomas of the Brooklyn Nets. If you haven't checked out my breakdown video on Cam Thomas, please check it out. It's only a day old, right after Thomas dropped 30 points in 19 minutes versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are a good defensive team. He had Jaden McDaniels on a turnstile. So Cam Thomas, 24 years old, 210 pounds. He is a tank of a player. I mean, to be 6'3", 6'4", and weigh 210 pounds is insane. And the thing I like about Cam Thomas, by the way, and when I say 20-point scorers are created equal, people will look at Cam Thomas and say, oh, he just scores 20 points. And he doesn't play any defense. He's a ball hog. Okay, all of those things can be true. But here's the one thing that Cam Thomas does that not anyone else on this team does. He gets to the stripe like Austin Reaves. But more than that, he converts because he's so strong. If you watch him take it to the lane, he's like a running back. He cuffs the ball, absorbs contact, and what's crazy about him is he's very flexible and agile at the rim. So this dude gets to the stripe a ton. He's averaging like 7 free throw attempts a game this season, and he really puts the defense on its heels. You give him the ball, Cam Thomas is going to break your defense down for better or for worse, you know? Yes, he can be inefficient. Yes, he can be a black hole. But the one thing that he does that no one else on this team does currently, especially without Austin Reaves, is he takes it into the paint. He is a semi-relentless downhill attacker, and he gets to the stripe. We need more easy buckets like that. Cam Thomas this season, 21.4 points, 2.7 assists, 42% from the field, 35.7% from three, 89.6% from the stripe. So not only does he get to the line, he hits his free throws. This dude is a Kobe disciple through and through. It's why his number is 24. Now, I know that Cam Thomas is accepted his qualifying offer of $6 million because he did not like the Nets offers of $15 million over the next 2 years. He clearly wants more. So trading for Cam Thomas would be sort of like a short-term rental. And obviously, if you're trading anything of value, which I think the Lakers do not have to trade that much for Cam Thomas, actually. So if we're only trading Dalton Connect for a 6-month rental of Cam Thomas to help us out while Austin Reaves is out, I don't think that's a bad deal on our end. I don't want to re-sign Cam Thomas in the summer and give him the $22 million he's looking for. But if we can expand that deal with Cam Thomas and add a Zaire Williams or a Day'Ron Sharpe for the defensive motor aspect of things, that's where a Cam Thomas deal makes a lot of sense. And honestly, if we just wanted to swap Dalton Connect for Cam Thomas, I think the Nets would do that right now because Dalton Connect is on for one more year cost control. You know, Cam Thomas, he's probably just going to walk next year. The thing to note about Cam Thomas is that if the Lakers trade for him, they do not retain his bird rights. His bird rights are gone because he accepted the qualifying offer. So if he has a bang out last 6 months for the Lakers, and if the Lakers actually want to re-sign him as their microwave scorer off the bench, the Lakers would have to open up cap space for him, use actual cap space. They can't use Cam Thomas's low cap hold, make their signings with other cap space, and then go over the cap to re-sign him. So that's definitely like the bad part, unfortunate part about any Cam Thomas deal. But even if you're selling me on a short-term rental for Cam Thomas, that's fine. This dude he grew up loving the Lakers, loving Kobe. Someone mentioned it in my comments recently, but apparently he cried back in the 2021 NBA draft because the Lakers didn't draft him. So that's how much this dude loves Kobe Bryant and the Lakers. So who knows what he'll do once he dons the Lakers jersey, kind of in the same way that how DeAndre Ayton has been in terms of loving life in LA, even though DeAndre has not been playing that well recently. Anyways, there's my pitch on Cam Thomas. It's a low risk, high reward sort of short-term replacement for Austin. And honestly, the best bang for your buck, even considering all of his flaws, best bang for your buck Austin replacement out there. Because again, I think you can get this dude for Dalton Connect. And if you want to be economical and efficient about it, the Lakers can probably tack on the defenders that you all want along with Cam Thomas. Zaire Williams, Terrence Mann, Day'Ron Sharpe. What if we can get all of them? That would be great because the Lakers have needs in a lot of different areas. And so number 5 on my list is Cam Thomas because he is, again, one of the cheapest Austin replacements out there, even though it's probably just going to be a short-term thing, much in the same way DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart are semi-short-term. All right, moving on to my number 4 target. My number 4, Austin Reaves replacement. Again, these are the premier section. Let's talk about, hey, Jaden Ivey, who we played last night. Jaden Ivey is coming off of an injury, and he only recently just returned to the Pistons in the last month or so. Jaden Ivey, 23 years old, 6'3" in height as well, 195 pounds, but built very sturdily and cut. This season with the Pistons, he's under a minutes restriction. He's only playing 16 minutes a game. 8.4 points, 2.1 rebounds, 1.8 assists, 0.7 steals, 0.3 blocks on pretty efficient percentages. 47% from the field, 40.7% from three, 80.8% from the line. In his last season, his best season, I think Jaden Ivey was like a 15. Actually, let me actually look it up so I'm not just pulling stuff out of my butt. Jaden Ivey, and he has career averages of like 15, 3, and 4. His best season, though, came in, last year. He only played 30 games because that's when he got injured. But last year, he averaged 17.6 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 46% from the field, 41% from three, knocking down 2 threes a game. I would bank on Jaden Ivey's potential. The reason why Jaden Ivey is a candidate here is because the Pistons did not reach an extension agreement with Jaden Ivey this past summer or past fall. And it is unclear where he stands moving forward with them, even though it might seem obvious that, hey, you've got this fast, explosive, strong guard. Like, why wouldn't the Pistons want to re-sign him? Well, one, he might cost a lot. He might be asking for like an $18 to $22 million multi-year extension this summer, kind of the same way Cam Thomas is. And so do the Pistons want to make sure they get something out of nothing for Jaden Ivey? He's sort of in the same situation that Rui Hachimura was in with the Washington Wizards when Rui was an expiring $4 million and the Wizards couldn't come to an extension agreement with Rui that fall. Lakers swooped in, gave them Kendrick Nunn in 3 seconds and got Rui Hachimura on the cheap. Now, I think Jaden Ivey will cost a little bit more, but maybe not because he's been injury prone the last 2 years. And so maybe they can actually get him on a discount. And if the Lakers can get this type of explosive athlete in his bulky, he's not that bulky, but like in his strong physique, who can actually play physically, and someone who has improved from the 3-point line every single year, both in terms of volume and in terms of efficiency, I feel like that would be a smart get because Jaden Ivey, if he's healthy enough to do it, could start right now next to Luka Doncic and give us that offensive, athletic punch in the mouth, punch in the face, punch in the mouth that we could deploy against other teams so that we don't look so loafing and so slow. We would actually have one of those guys on our team. And then even when Austin returns, it's not a bad idea to have Jaden Ivey running amok off the bench as an athletic 6-man who can change the pace and speed of the game. So Jaden Ivey would be my number 4 premier target for the Lakers to get, especially because his contractual status with the Detroit Pistons is in limbo. And so we may be able to get him for cheap. Now, a lot of this depends on his health and, whether or not we can ramp him up to a consistent 25, 28 minutes, although he has played 25 plus minutes in a few games this season. So anyways, not KCP. I was looking at the comments. Jaden Ivey would be one of my preferred targets. WC6465 says Jaden Ivey is a young KCP. I don't think so. He's way more versatile than KCP and can actually do something with the ball. I mean, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and then he can cross people over, take it to the lane. He's way more explosive than KCP. Defensively, I'm not sure he's as good as KCP, but the physical profile and the tools are there. And you saw it last night. I mean, he was giving us problems as he has been the last 2 years. And so Jaden Ivey is a name that I would definitely look at if I'm the Lakers in terms of an Austin Reaves replacement. All right, moving on to my number 4 premier. Sorry, Number 4? No, number 3. I can't do math. Moving on to my number 3 premier Austin Reaves stopgap replacement target. And let's talk about the Chicago Bulls, Ayo Dosunmu. So obviously this is a popular name that's been making the rounds in Lakers Nation. I'll talk about him now more in depth. But Ayo Dosunmu is having a stellar year with the Bulls, which is why he's probably one of the most unrealistic players in this first part, in this first section. But I'll just run through his specs anyways. Ayo Dosunmu, 25 years old, 6'4" in height, 200 pounds. This season he's averaging 13.8 points, 2.6 rebounds, 3.1 assists, 50% from the field, 42.6% from three, 86% from the stripe in just 26 minutes. This dude is killing it on all areas. Probably the most unrealistic target on this list because Kobe White just went down with another hamstring injury. Josh Giddey just went down. They actually very much need Ayo Dosunmu. And even if those players were healthy, I think they still would like to keep Ayo Dosunmu. In fact, it's Kobe White. Kobe White is the player that the Bulls have been trying to pawn off. Good luck now with him going down with another hamstring injury. But I'll just bring up Ayo Dosunmu's name while totally understanding that he's probably the least gettable out of this list. I'll just bring up his name because if the Lakers are somehow able to pull it off, you can't say never. The Lakers literally just traded for Luka Doncic. But if the Lakers manage to pull off an Ayo Dosunmu trade, and even though he's an expiring contract, he's the type of player that I would be willing to give up the first round pick for because he can do it on both ends. He can actually create for you. He can actually shoot. He's an athletic jitterbug sort of athlete. I wouldn't put him like in a tier 1 in terms of like a tier 1 Jaden Ivey sort of athlete, but it's Austin Reaves, him, and then maybe Jaden Ivey in terms of athleticism. But I like Ayo Dosunmu's versatility. And I like the fact that he's very scrappy and competitive on the defensive end of the floor. And for me, he would be one of the more well-balanced two-way players out of this list who you wouldn't necessarily have to worry about whether he would be a complete liability on the defensive end of the floor. He's not. In fact, he's a positive. And then on the offensive end of the floor, he's far from a liability as well because he's shooting so efficiently from the field, but he can also do some stuff with the ball. And he can also create for other players. 3 assists on just 26 minutes is a very healthy number for a combo guard. So yeah, Ayo Dosunmu would be one of the best Austin Reaves stopgap replacements. And I would be willing to give it the 2031 first. Unfortunately, because of all those reasons, I don't think he's very realistic. So there's Ayo Dosunmu. Let me just make sure that I have my other files up before I continue. All right, so there's Ayo Dosunmu. Just to catch everybody up, my first, how do I say this? My first 3 targets, my first 3 Austin Reaves replacement stopgap targets have been number 5, Cam Thomas, number 4, Jaden Ivey. We are now at number 3, Ayo Dosunmu. We've got 2 more players to go, and then we'll get to 3 more realistic ones. But before we do all of that, I want to talk to you guys today about this show's sponsor. There is actually no sponsor for today's episode. So in lieu of that, I want to talk to you guys one-on-one. I want to pitch you guys. Today's sponsor is myself because I want to pitch you guys what I'm selling here. Because, a little intimate moment here. So if you're on YouTube a lot, I know there are a number of different content creators on YouTube, on social media, TikTok, etc. And they all bring something different to the table. All bring something different and valuable, depending on what you're into, to the table. You've got the beat reporters who are actually close to the team, who give their perspective on things. You've got basketball podcasters who recap the game, people who do live streams, react to different videos. Then you've got people who analyze the basketball film side of things and cut up the tape and go in depth and nitty gritty, like Laker Film Room, Pete Zayas, who I've had on the podcast multiple times. Great basketball minds. Is Talk from the Dallas Mavericks contingent of things, who came over in the Luka trade. He's been great for Lakers Nation. And then you've got like the basketball essay videos and documentary like videos that I've been really into, where the channel would just splice up a bunch of different clips together and have a narrator talk over them and kind of lead you through a journey. And then you've got the AI videos. I think you guys know which ones I'm talking about. And I still, frankly, don't get why people support that kind of stuff, but it is what it is. You've got the AI voice video where they just talk over stuff. So there are all those types of people and all those types of channels. And they all bring something to the table. Having said that, I don't think there are a lot of channels that do a combination of all of those things. Showing the face, here's my face, analyzing and breaking down the film, giving you guys well-edited video narrative essays, delving deeper into specific players, making sure the cinematography is there, making sure there is a musicality and rhythm to the way these clips flow, also doing these live stream recaps. Again, there are a lot of different niches in the basketball content creation world, and people specialize in different things. I'm not sure there are a lot of channels that do all of those things. And for better or for worse, I do all of those things. I'm like the Jake LaRavia of YouTube content basketball creation, of YouTube basketball content creation. The Jake of all trades, master of none, or the John of all trades, master of none. I am not an AI voice. I show my face in nearly every one of these videos. I edit these videos myself. I don't have a video editing team. Not only do I edit these videos, I touch every single clip I place on the timeline, in the narrative videos you see, in the breakdown videos you see. I zoom in to specific plays, annotating specific players, making sure that what you hear syncs up with what you see. I'm not just lazily laying down any random clips. I'm making sure there's a musicality and rhythm to it, that there's actually some cinematography insight involved. Also, beyond the video editing stuff, which takes up most of my time, curating all of these videos, I also design and prep my own graphics. Everything you see that I put up on these live streams, I had to create beforehand and organize. Everything you see around me, everything you see on the screen, all the stats I've compiled and stuff, I'm compiling them from different resources, obviously, so shout out to those resources, but I am putting them in a more presentable, organized manner for you guys. And all that to say, it takes a lot of work, and you may not like my face, or you may not like my delivery of things. You may not like my punny ass jokes, but you cannot knock me for the preparation and the versatility and breadth of expertise that I'm providing you. I'm not the best basketball mind. I'm not the best video editor. I'm not the best graphic design artist, but I am a little bit of everything. And so if you appreciate content creators who actually create, if you appreciate the versatility and the amount of prep and work that I put into each and every video, please consider liking this video, commenting down below, and most importantly, hitting subscribe. But also please consider becoming a member to this channel, because that is the best way to support me while also getting something back in return. And if you've made it this far into this video, then I've captured your attention to some degree. So that is the best way to support me if you'd like to do so, because I personally want to continue building out this smaller Lakers legacy community. I want to know who I can trust on this channel with my wacky, zany ass thoughts. And I want to more actively interact with those who actively invest in me, because that's the only way the world goes round these days with regards to entertainment, social media, and the content creator landscape. So that's my little diatribe. Shout out to the latest members on this channel: Mickey Stir 4397, at foreign character lit, LYT. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your username. At Bo838 and at JWPark74. Also shout out at Pinty23 for your continued support and engagement and interaction on the channel. You guys are keeping this channel chugging along. Thank you for your support. And if you'd like to support me in the same way that these fine folk have, again, please consider becoming a member. If you can't help me out financially in any way, no worries. Times are tough for everybody. I understand. In that event, once again, please just consider subscribing to the channel. For those who have been subscribed to the channel, I do have one request for you guys. Whenever you see a new video of mine pop up, even if the video doesn't necessarily pique your interest, if you could just click on it, let the ads play a little bit, and let it run in the background, that would help me out a lot, because YouTube uses your interaction with my videos as its test case of whether or not they decide to disperse and share it out to the larger public. So what I need my trusted subscribers, you guys, to do with my videos is to just watch them. Even if you don't want to watch them, even if you don't think, you don't like the topic or whatever, if it's like a Bronny James video and you're like, I hate Bronny James, just click it, because it helps me out. And I do put a lot of time and effort into each video that I pump out. And if you guys could help me out by just clicking it, even if you don't want to, even if you don't intend to really engage with them, that would help me out a lot. All right, there is my TED Talk for the day. Thank you guys for sticking with me through that. Let's get back into the list. As I mentioned, hold on, let me make sure that I do this correctly for the audio portion of things. All right, with that said, let's take it to break and let's pitch it to a couple more sponsors. And when we return, let's round out my Austin Reaves stopgap replacement list. All right, so we are back, rounding out my top 5 list of premier Austin stopgap replacement candidates. To recap everybody, we went through number 5, Cam Thomas, number 4, Jaden Ivey, number 3, Ayo Dosunmu, and now we're down to my top 2 candidates. And let's talk about number 2, Benedict Mathurin of the Indiana Pacers. So I think I lied when I said Ayo Dosunmu might be the most unrealistic, because Benedict Mathurin might give him a run for his money. I'm not sure how realistic it is to get Benedict Mathurin. I just know he's in the same situation that Ayo Dosunmu was in terms of the Pacers not being able to come to an extension agreement with him back in the fall, which means he's an expiring contract, and it doesn't sound like the Pacers want to pay him the $20+ million he wants to get paid on a new deal. Do the Lakers want to do that? I'm not sure. But given how devoid they are in athletic, explosive players, I would consider it. Benedict Mathurin, just 23 years old, 6'5" in height, a nice, sturdy 210 pounds. This year, he's having a career year. 18 points, 5.5 rebounds, 2.1 assists, 0.7 steals, 43% from the field, can work on that. 37% from 3, 86% from the stripe in 32 minutes a game. The thing I like about Benedict Mathurin is, one, he would give us one of those speedy, quick, athletic freaks. There are times when you watch him dribble around with the ball, pull up for this nice mid-range jump shot, or knife into the lane and tomahawk jam it down. There are times when you squint hard enough and he kind of looks like Anthony Edwards. No joke. I like Benedict Mathurin, even if the future for him may just be like he comes off the bench and mucks things up from an offensive athletic standpoint. I like Benedict Mathurin a lot. I am not sure what it's going to take to get Benedict Mathurin is the problem. Like, the Pacers probably want the Lakers' first-round pick. I don't think I'd do that for an expiring player. But if the Lakers were somehow able to finagle a situation where they are able to get Benedict Mathurin, this is a young player. This is a young stallion / Mustang that we need to add to our crop of guys, because we so desperately need the athleticism, the physicality. We need to give Luka Doncic another lob threat, but from like the shooting guard, small forward position. And Benedict Mathurin, Benedict Mathurin is a guy who has also proven it in the playoffs. His best performance last year in the playoffs came in the finals versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is a dude who put up like 23 points, 27 points in the finals. And so I like that he's not afraid of the big stage. We know that Benedict Mathurin can perform in the playoffs. His defense is the biggest question mark, but he has, even in that sense, he has improved every year. And on ball, he's not a bad defender. Actually, it's more like the Rui Hachimura Space Cadet stuff off ball and like rotating to the right spots, et cetera, et cetera. But because of his nice wingspan, because of how physical he is, like I think he's a pretty good on-ball man defender. So we at the very least have like physical clay to work with on the defensive end. And in general, in bright blinking lights, Benedict Mathurin, explosive athlete who can get a bucket for you, that the Lakers could use. And so if he were to replace Austin Reaves in the interim, he would even give us a dynamic that Austin Reaves doesn't give us, because this dude can just post or jam over people. You know, we haven't had an on-ball creator like that in a while. I mean, the closest right now is a rookie in Adu Thiero who, you know, his ball handling is suspect, at least right now. Benedict Mathurin, we know he can cross you up, step back, midi, or take you all the way into the lane and like reverse windmill jam it on you. So that's my pitch for Benedict Mathurin. Would be great if the Lakers could somehow finagle a situation where they don't have to give up the first round pick. But again, I don't think the Pacers would do that for just Dalton Knecht. But who knows? If the Lakers give up the first round pick, could we then tack on some other guys that we like to the deal along with Benedict Mathurin, you know? Could we get like an Isaiah Jackson or an Obi Toppin? Those are the things that I try and construct if it seems like the Lakers have to give up a first and they're getting back like an expiring player who they're not sure, you know, they want to keep long term. Although Benedict Mathurin is a guy who I would want to keep long term. And the Lakers, as opposed to a Cam Thomas deal, the Lakers would get Benedict Mathurin's bird rights. So they'd be able to take advantage of his low cap hold come this summer. It would sort of be the same situation as Austin Reaves, but his cap hold would be even cheaper or lesser. All right, so there's Benedict Mathurin, number 2. My number 1 Austin Reaves replacement target would be, let's talk about Quentin Grimes. All right, Quentin Grimes. He's not the most explosive player. He's not the most athletic player. He's not the best defender, but he is sort of like a little bit of everything. And he actually is pretty sneakily athletic. I've seen him like poster yam on dudes, and it's pretty, yeah, it's surprising because sometimes you just think of him as a 3-and-D player, but then out of nowhere, he will just cock that thing back behind his head and sledgehammer it down. Quentin Grimes, 25 years old, 6'4" in height, 210 pounds. He's got that Max Christie build, maybe even a little bit bigger. This season, off the bench, he's averaging 15 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, which is really nice, 1 steal, 42% from the field, 35% from 3, 86% from the line. Last season with the Sixers, when he just got traded to the Sixers by the Mavericks, he had a 28-27 game run where he was averaging like 24 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists on ridiculous percentages. So we kind of know what Quentin Grimes can do at his ceiling. And in this respect, without Austin Reaves, I think we can expect to see the Quentin Grimes version that puts up 18 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. You know, right now he's coming off the bench for the Sixers, and the Sixers are juggling a lot of different archetypes in his same mold, like Jared McCain and VJ Edgecombe, who hit like a clutch shot for the Sixers last night. So Quentin Grimes isn't the focal point of the Sixers. But because of that, he slots back into his 3-and-D role that he sort of assumed earlier on in his career. But what I like about Quentin Grimes is that he's an actual shooter. Like, he gets it up in volume and he can actually stroke that thing. Big pause. No, he's an actual shooter. But on top of that, he's not a one-dimensional shooter because he can play make for others. He can actually create on the ball himself. And again, he's sneakily athletic and he can play very, very good positional defense. He's just a smart defender. Again, he's not like that rabid, like Matisse Thybulle. He's always going to get every steal for you, but he can hold his own against these more physical offensive players. He moves his feet. He tries on defense. I just like that he sort of check marks a lot of boxes for you without necessarily being like elite at any one thing outside of shooting. Even though I know it says 35%, I wouldn't rely too much on that. He has shot 38 to 40% in the past, knocking down like really high volume of threes. And towards the end of last season with the Sixers, he was like hitting 3 threes a game. So anyways, Quentin Grimes would be a great short-term replacement because of the ceiling that he can provide, but also even when Austin comes back, I honestly would start Quentin Grimes next to Austin Reaves because I feel like he is that sort of, he's like the more offensively versatile Max Christie, who may actually be the same sort of defender as Max, you know? And Quentin Grimes is also a player who I would very much consider signing long-term for the Lakers. Problem with Quentin Grimes is the same problem with Cam Thomas, though, because he signed his qualifying offer, his bird rights do not transfer with him. So if the Lakers do end up trading for Quentin Grimes, they would have to use real cap space and will not be able to take advantage of his low cap hold. So just keep that in mind. Quentin Grimes, an expiring $7 million this year. All right, so that does it for my premier top 5 Austin Reaves stopgap replacements. Let's talk about some more realistic targets who are flawed. Their contracts kind of suck. They're not ideal. They wouldn't move the needle that much, but they would definitely help. But because of the flaws that they have, this is what makes them more realistic. So let's get into my top 3 more realistic candidates. And let's start off with former Laker Malik Monk. So Malik would actually be higher on this list if not for his contract. He's on for like 2 more years after this one at $18 million per. And that's kind of a lot for a small guard. But anyways, Malik Monk is still only 27 years old, 6'3" in height, 200 pounds. That's actually surprising. He seems less than 200 pounds. This year, a down year because he's coming off the bench and the Kings have no idea what they're doing with their lives. 12 points, 2 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 0.8 steals, 43% from the field, 41% from 3, which is great, 82% from the stripe, 22 minutes per game. What I like about Malik Monk is the fact that he's a bucket. He can cross you over. He can knife it into the lane. In transition, he is a speed demon. He's super explosive. He would actually give the Lakers that rare lob threat at the shooting guard spot. But also, he shoots the lights out from 3. And in lieu of Austin Reaves, without us having that quick twitch dynamic on ball, Malik Monk would easily be that for us. We need another guy who, when LeBron James swings the ball, when Luka Doncic swings the ball, it gets to Malik Monk's hands and he can either step back for 3 or shoot that 3 or knife into the lane and yam it over dudes' heads. And we need that type of jittery, erratic, for better or for worse, offensive player that can just create something out of nothing. Because the Lakers, even though they started running sets last night, they generally devolve to not running any sets and it becomes like hot potato. And in a scenario of hot potato ball, you need dudes who can actually cook that potato, and Malik Monk can cook that potato. So that is why I feel like even though his contract is bad, if you can tack on, I know everybody wants to say Keon Ellis. I'm not sure if that's realistic. If you can tack on Keon Ellis to a Malik Monk deal, then you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You get your offense, you get your defense. To a lesser extent, if you can tack on Devin Carter, there's your defensive guard who rebounds well, even though he's still a project. So that's what I would sort of be thinking with regards to Malik Monk. Because we're taking on those extra years, maybe we can get an asset back. But in the short term and the long term, Malik Monk would be that microwave scorer off the bench. Not only is he like a professional version of Nick Smith Jr., he is the way, way more explosive version of Nick Smith Jr., who can post or jam. So that's my third most realistic Austin Reaves replacement. Let's move on to number 2, and let's talk about Caris LeVert, who didn't play for the Pistons last night, but was on the bench. I'm not sure what injury he's dealing with currently. Let me drink some water real quick. All right, Caris LeVert, 31 years old, 6'7", a nice 6'7" at the shooting guard spot, 205 pounds. This year with the Pistons, he's averaging 8.4 points, 2 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 0.8 steals, 0.6 blocks, 43% from the field, 38% from 3, 66% from the stripe. What are you doing? in just 20 minutes off the bench. So Karis LeVert, he is also an erratic player. A lot of these players are, but he actually, at least in his heyday, especially with the Cavaliers, he's actually one of these two-way players who can actually play defense. And because he's so long, 6'7" with like a 7 foot plus wingspan, he can actually wreak havoc in the passing lanes. He used to be like a really high steals rate sort of guy. And he plays backup point guard for you in a pinch, you know? I think he would be low key pretty valuable, even though you can't necessarily trust his shooting too much. And I know that sounds like we're just getting the 6'7" version of Marcus Smart. And in some respects, we are. But imagine Marcus Smart at 6'7", you know? So I like Karis LeVert's versatility, and it wasn't too long ago with the Nets when, you know, he could be one of these guys who could drop 20 points on any given night. And so he's got a little shiftiness and shake to him that he can sort of bring to the table much and you know, sort of fill in those gaps that Austin Reaves leaves in terms of on-ball shot creation. It's just you kind of got to live with the roller coasterness of Karis LeVert. But having said that, the Lakers don't have very many options at backup guard, and he would instantly be better than Gabe Vincent. He would instantly be better than Nick Smith Jr. Right now, given the fact that Marcus Smart hasn't hit a 3 in 3 straight games, he might be on par with Marcus Smart or even better as well, just because he's longer and taller. So that's why I would put Karis LeVert on this list, because if you can channel back his high defensive ceiling from yesteryear, I mean, he's only 31 years old. He's not that old. And you can rein him in offensively. I think he would be a pretty good asset that maybe wouldn't cost too much. Although I will say, I believe Bickerstaff and him have a relationship from their Cleveland days. So they may actually like him a lot. And so he may not be as realistic as I'm selling him to be. But Karis LeVert, a name to think about. I know Pistons fans don't really like his play this year, so I guess that's something to clock. So I see comments here of, you know, I would rather have a younger player. Karis LeVert is 31. Yeah, that's true, but not all 31 players are created equal either. You know, DFS is 31, but also just hasn't played all year and clearly was dealing with, injury issues. Obviously, we would love a younger player, but in the interim for like a stopgap guy, Karis LeVert to me is not a bad option. But anyways, moving on from Karis LeVert, my number one most realistic Austin Reaves replacement target with flaws, whether contractually or game style wise. Let's talk about number one, Terrence Mann. Everybody has been talking about Terrence Mann recently, so let's talk about Terrence Mann. He's actually already 29 years old, so he's not as young as you guys think. But Terrence Mann has pretty good size, 6'6", 215 pounds, nice and long. This season with the Nets, he's averaging 8 points, 3.5 rebounds, 3.8 assists, 0.8 steals, 44% from the field, below average 32% from three, 86% from the stripe, 26 minutes a game. You likely know him more from his time with the Clippers and the fact that the Clippers would always withhold him from any deal because they were putting him on this pedestal as this prized asset until he wasn't. You probably also remember when he had like 29 points in a playoff game for the Clippers. So, I mean, Terrence Mann has had, some flashes of, some offensive brilliance. I wouldn't call him like a highly, I don't know. He's pretty mid, but I will say in terms of a guy who can do something with the ball, Terrence Mann can do that for you. He can score a little bit. He gets assists, nearly 4 assists in 26 minutes is great. And then on top of that, on the other end of the floor, he can definitely hold his own. I believe he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league right now this season. And the Brooklyn Nets are sort of rolling. They're like 7-3 in December. They're playing some of the best defense in the league somehow. Shout out to Jody Fernandez. He's doing a great job coaching that team. And Terrence Mann is a key cog in all of that, I am sure, even though I don't watch every Brooklyn Nets game. But yeah, I would be totally down for Terrence Mann. That is why he is number one on my most realistic target list. what I will say is he is on a not so great contract. He's due $15 million over the next 3 years, including this one. So I don't know if the Lakers want to have that on their books. Yeah, he's making a guaranteed $15 million till 2027, 28. And so that's why he's probably more realistic. You could probably have him for a little less because he's on a long-term deal, $15 million. But that's not a bad deal either. That's like a full that's essentially the price of the full mid-level. And so in any Terrence Mann deal, though, I would want the Lakers to also include like Day'Ron Sharpe. Can we get Day'Ron Sharpe? Can we get Cam Thomas tossed into that? I wouldn't just want to trade for Terrence Mann like one-on-one, you know? I would want to extract as much value as we can from the Nets because, again, the Lakers have a lot of holes to fill, and Terrence Mann is not going to move the needle for us. I don't care how good of a perimeter defender he is this year. If you saw the gap between us and the Pistons last night, if you saw the gap between us and the Rockets, us and the Thunder in terms of physicality, athleticism, motor, one Terrence Mann isn't going to change all of that. Like one man isn't going to change all of that. So in any Terrence Mann deal, in any Cam Thomas deal, we better be getting at least one more player, one or two more players in that deal. Haywood Highsmith, I honestly wouldn't even bother. Just wait till the Nets buy him out and then get Haywood Highsmith during the buyout market time as well. But anyways, yeah, that is my last target. Terrence Mann, I have run on long enough for this show. I'm going to end it here. Thank you guys for watching. To recap, my 5 top players, my 5 top Austin Reaves stopgap replacements would be number 5, Cam Thomas. Number 4, Jaden Ivey. Number 3, Ayo Dosunmu. Number 2, Benedict Mathurin. Number 1, Quentin Grimes. In terms of more realistic targets, number 3, Malik Monk. Number 2, Karis LeVert. Number 1, Terrence Mann. So there you go. Thank you guys for watching this video, or thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Please remember to hit like, comment down below. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member. Really cheap, and you get to watch more videos of me workshopping stupid ideas. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you are subscribed to the subscription feed. And also, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and leave a comment. We haven't gotten one of those in a long time. If you want Tommy to return for a guest episode, make sure to leave a comment on the Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, etc. But with that said, this has been Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast. Hope you guys have a happy new year, and I will catch you guys and see you guys in 2026. All right. Peace out.